Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here, and I've got a very interesting report to throw out there to you guys, and that is this. Is the Great Reset going to implement some kind of global health pass that will eventually be linked to microchip technology? Well, if the World Economic Forum founder has his way, then that just might be the case. In fact, according to a 2016 interview that is now gaining national attention, Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, came on record and stated that it is in fact their goal to have everyone implanted with a microchip within 10 years, which would mean if the interview was given in 2016, it's about, 5 years from now. Now, before I show you that clip, I want to remind you, please make sure you check out my partner at noblegoldinvestments.com. If you haven't converted your 401k into something backed by gold, silver, precious metals, now is the time to do that. And with any approved 401k or IRA, you get this amazing American Eagle 22 karat gold coin here. So check them out at noblegoldinvestments.com. All right, so let's check out this interview from 2016 with Klaus Schwab, where he admits that the goal is to implant us with this technology. And keep in mind, the guy that you're about to hear is the exact guy that is right now the designer and promoter of the Great Reset. Take a listen.
Aujourd'hui, au bout de ça, on parle de puces qu'on pourra s'implanter. Ce sera quand ça?
Certainement dans les 10 années à venir. Et d'abord, on va les implanter dans nos vêtements, c'est-à-dire wearables, comme on le dit. Et après, on pourrait s'imaginer qu'on les implante dans nos cerveaux ou dans notre peau. Et à la fin, peut-être il y a une communication directe entre notre cerveau et le monde digital. Ce que nous voyons, c'est une sorte de fusion du monde physique, digital et biologique.
So Klaus Schwab, who no one elected here in the United States of America, says that the ultimate endgame of the global order, international order, or whatever pretty name you want to give it, their entire endgame is to have this chip implanted in your forehead or your brain, right, that communicates with the digital world. Now, let me show you what the book of Revelation has to say about the mark of the beast. For those of you who may not know, this is Revelation chapter, I believe, 13 and verses 15. Yep, Revelations 13, 15 from the Bible. And it says this: the second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refuse to worship the image to be killed. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, so that they could not buy, sell, or trade unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for its number is the number 666. That's why it's very important to know what the end game is of these, globalist tyrants, who, again, we didn't get to elect into office. And I think that's a very powerful point here. How is it that some guy has so much power over a country that he's making the statement that he intends, and the goal is, whose goal, by the way? Is it Satan's goal from the book of Revelation? Is it the globalist goal? Maybe it's all of it put together. But the ultimate goal is to have that implant into your skin, and nobody really knows the consequences. But either way, not something I'm ever going to get, especially knowing what happens in the book of Revelation with the mark of the beast is a big no-no, right? If you're a Christian, you do not get that. But this is the guy who is talking about it. And you guys know a lot of information on it. But here it is, thegreatreset.com. And this is on the World Economic Forum website, because the Great Reset is his baby. And it's been promoted by many globalist leaders, right? Here we have the pandemic, he says, represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. And that is according to the founder, Klaus Schwab. So what is he trying to say here? And he's got an entire page devoted to the Great Reset and how he wants to use the COVID-19 pandemic to implement the reset. But meanwhile, mainstream media is trying to say this doesn't exist, which is beyond me because it's right on the World Economic Forum website. I mean, hello, right? But they really don't detail, and I've read through the World Economic Forum site in detail. They really don't detail exactly what that means. Now, Klaus Schwab did write a book, and he details it just a lot more in that book. And basically, the idea is to crush capitalism. And they're calling it, they want to reform capitalism. There's a better term that they use, and I'm blanking on it on the moment. But basically, it's a new form of capitalism, which is basically socialism renamed with the word capitalism to make it look good. But he talks about a straight up redistribution of wealth, changing the economic systems, breaking the United States of America, and a Green New Deal, if you will, on a global scale. And how can the world exactly reset itself according to some of these dictators? Well, obviously, the microchip implant is one of the end games spoken of by Klaus Schwab publicly. And if that's where we're headed, that is the book of Revelations happening right in front of our eyes. But here it is, World Economic Forum, quoting straight from the sources here. How can the world be reset? And I've talked about the Great Reset in detail, by the way, on restrictedrepublic.com. Look, if you're not there, you need to sign up. And right now, we are giving $20 off the first year. Use the code 20 and the word off, the number 20 and the word off, and you could get $20 off the first year. And this is an amazing deal, but basically we share all kinds of information that I can't share on alternative platforms, or we don't have time to share, but there's so much stuff that you have to see, and I can't tell you how much I have been dropping on there. But I'm not the only author. Justice Knight is also on there as well. So check it out, restrictedrepublic.com. All right, so back to this. World Economic Forum, how the world can reset itself after COVID-19, according to the experts that we didn't elect into office, who have put their little rich noses, because they're top 1%, making millions and billions of dollars. So because that is who they are, that puts them in the top 1% because they're quadrillionaires, right? Billionaires, millionaires, that kind of thing. So they get put at the top. Doesn't really seem fair because they could always jade the system in their favor, right? Okay, how can the world reset itself after the COVID-19 according to these experts? And here, let's go to the first expert here, Jennifer Morgan, and what she has to say about the green reset. Wait. I thought it was a great reset. Whoa, it said great. Yeah. Great reset. Well, obviously the great reset is a green reset. But she goes on to talk about something interesting that the mainstream media still admits doesn't exist. And she says this: we set up a new world order. I thought that did exist. Well, this expert says it does. We set up a new world order after World War II. We're now in a different world than we were then. We need to ask ourselves, now what can we be doing differently? The WEF has a big responsibility, and they need to be pushing the reset button and looking how to create well-being for the people and for the earth. Keep in mind, they always implement tyranny in the name of salvation, if that makes sense. But she goes on to talk about kind of what they need to do. And she says, companies have learned from the past that they should take the opportunity and create a more zero carbon economy. So here it is, talking about green. She is positive about the potential for a more joined up approach to rebuilding the greener economies, such as the European Green Deal. So it's all about implementing green technology, which, by the way, is more money in their pocket because they've already invested in all the green technology, and they force everybody into that direction in the name of the planet is going to die. But she's not the only one calling for this. Let's go on to the second lady here, Geeta Gopanitha. And I'm sorry if I blanked that, but she's now talking about the economic reset. Oh, wait. So the Great Reset includes not only a green reset, but an entire reset of the economy. What does that mean? Do they mean like, some kind of implant that talks to the digital world that can go on our brains or on our clothing or whatever? Eventually? Is that like a global thing? Like a global currency-ish? But she goes on to say this. She's also talking about a more greener style. The crisis has also made a need for global cooperation abundantly clear, right? So she's saying we need to be more global. more global. Not only do we need our economy reset, but we need to go global. And she also talks about the same thing as the other, a more greener future, right? Like Morgan, she also believes that the COVID crisis is a wake-up call that we need to shift to a greener economy when countries are in position to begin public spending. Then we also have the third lady here who's claiming that we need a work reset. So the Great Reset includes a work reset, an economic reset, and a green reset. And she also talks about the Green Deal. She goes, I can see I could see how we could use this opportunity to design a better world, build back better. Sound like some lingo we've heard from globalists all across the world, but we need both national and multilateral institutions to make this thing work. She also goes on that we need to design policies to align with investments in people and the environment. But above all, the long-term perspective is about rebalancing economies. So reset everything. Well, who gets to pick what the actual reset button resets to? Would that be our U.S. leaders or the globalist leaders or the United Nations? Maybe it's Agenda 2030, this whole little United Nations agenda, which is exactly, by the way, what the Great Reset promotes to the T. So do they get a call policy here in America? What stipulations? Will you not be able to eat meat anymore? After all, Biden has said that he would bring us down to near zero or 35%. I don't remember the exact number, but it was pretty intense. And that would mean that Americans maybe can have one burger a month, if on his new plan. Imagine what that would do to our health and our bodies. And everything I hear from the mainstream media is those rich, filthy Americans need to be poorer. How about other countries coming up to our level? That's not what we're hearing. In the Great Reset, you're always hearing bad Americans, they're too rich, they're spoiled, they're dirty, they're rotten, pull them down. In other words, they're feeding you a biscuit to make you think you're too privileged and you're destroying the world. So you need to downgrade yourself. That doesn't include them, by the way. They still get to live in luxury, right? But how about bringing the rest of the world out of poverty? Nope. Spoiled little Americans. And by the way, one thing I wanted to show you in the Agenda 21 agenda is they have 17 sustainable developments. You guys have heard me talk about that on Restricted Republic, among other things. But one of their agendas is the 16th goal. Like there's 17 goals. Goal 16, number 9.9 is the one I want to focus on. It says by 2030. That's not long from now. They want to have legal identity for all, including birth to registration by 2030. Interesting. Klaus Schwab said that he wants microchip implants 10 years from 2016, which would be 2026. And then we have Agenda 2030 saying they want a ID for all, global ID, by 2030. Could it be that these health passports that we're hearing all about now could be that kind of ID eventually? Possibly. After all, it'd have all your information on it for the world to see, right? Anyhow, wanted to bring you all of that information, and please check out restrictedrepublic.com. As a reminder, I can just show you a little bit of some of the things we've been talking about on there, but you really got to get on there and check out some of the information we have. Use that code 20OFF to get 20 off an entire year, and check us out there, because that's where we're going to be if the crap hits the fan. Anyhow, I love all of you. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.